I was given the best of me.
Oh yeah! All right, welcome back. Episode. No, this is not an episode. This is discussion is power. We already went through this about 10 minutes ago because audio didn't work for the third goddamn time. Oh my god, this is really trash, but it's working now. So we're gonna pick up right where we left off at. We were discussing. What we were discussing circled around Candace Owens. Shauna had a very good discussion on her platform, and it just sparked an interest. And it's black. It's the black community being anti-black against each other, and not in the coonish, not in the coonish way that like a lot of people that's like popular right now on social media, that like Dr. Umar, whatever the case may be. We're talking about a very specific type of anti-blackism.
It's more of a nuance
in the black community. It is a nuance.
It's nuance. It's not very much in your face. I don't think that it survives and crosses racial lines, because I feel like white folks don't know too much about this. By the time you encounter these non-black, not black enough people, they're your token black friend, because they have been shunned for whatever reason, and they have been brought into the fold of another group of people.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like the biggest thing that I was saying is that I know a bunch of like black kids, you know what I'm saying, like Sayla, you know what I'm saying, like Star Puppy, that are into like anime.
Is that what you call her, Star Puppy?
No, not Sayla. It's a Star Puppy is a different person.
Oh, I never.
Where they're just into like new shit, and they just like what they like, and if it's anime, it's anime. If they really enjoy cosplay, that's what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they indulge themselves in that realm, but then they also celebrate their blackness and celebrate the fact that, okay, well, I'm not whatever the fuck that means, you know, what the stereotypical black is, which is so funny because black people fight against stereotypes, and then we perpetuate them in our own diaspora, because if you don't fit it, you're not black enough, and you're immediately ostracized. Immediately.
And I believe Victor was talking about, you know, how he experienced it on a daily basis, how people just don't think you're black or don't want to believe that you're black. Is that what it is?
Or you talk black?
So I mean, it's like a joke between my friends, but that shit still hits sometimes. Like niggas just
does.
They be calling me white, bro. Every time I say nigga with my friends, they're like, yo, you can't say that. Like it's like shit like that, and then
it hurts, man.
In Florida, you know, I always and I don't think it's like a black thing. It's just my appearance. I do get mistaken for Hispanic a lot, like way more than you would think. Even up here, I've been mistaken for Hispanic a few times.
No, Armand knows that pain. My sister still refuses to call him by his name. He is definitely still Armando in my family.
Yeah.
That's so anti-black.
Well, hear me out, because my real first experience I remember being as an adult for anti-blackness was a Spanish dude. I was at a light. You know how quick lights go in Florida. They're like the quickest 10 seconds of your life sometimes. But this was an eternity. He was just like, hey, I was driving a little Dodge Neon at the time, a little old Betty. And the guy was at the window trying to flag me down, asking me for directions. I didn't know where I was going because I was fairly new. But he was just saying, hey, you try to speak Spanish. I said, no, I don't speak Spanish. He goes, oh, are you Dominican, Puerto Rican? I go, no, I'm none of that. And he was like, you should tell people that from now on. and at 18 or 19, however old I was I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
But
I give you anti-blackness all the time.
Yeah, but there was a reason why he said that, because there's just a lot of anti-blackness.
Yeah.
And it comes from a lot of it comes from our own community.
It does, and it can produce a Candace Owens. But I watched it, and the person that I got the idea from was Ryan Davis, and he was saying that he just knew he was different, was kind of whatever the hell nerdy may mean, and just didn't fit in. And he was like, he resonates with her so much, and he really understands that. And he's like, yo, you have that point in your life where you're at that crossroads, where you could just walk away from your blackness and throw your hands up to the air and just say, man, fuck that shit. Like, I'm gonna just do me. And then, or you're gonna embrace it and kind of put your little stank on it and be whatever black you think is black.
Yeah.
And he said the trouble with that, and then I took it a step further, because I feel like white people or non-black people will look at a Candace Owens because she's well-spoken and she is smart, not intelligent. It's not the same. And they will make her the model black, the palatable black. They will get their black news from her. But like high key, about to step into AAVE right now, we don't even fuck with her, like, at all. Like, I'll give you an example about how much we don't fuck with her. When the whole George Floyd thing happened, and she said that we should pick better heroes, and I'm like, bro, didn't nobody said he was even a hero? Like, you don't even be at our tables no more. You don't even be in our homes no more to see how we felt about that shit. We was just saying you could have took that motherfucker to jail. Like, we wasn't on no let's decide. And then she brought up his criminal past, and we were just kind of like, Britta, it don't even got nothing to do with that either. Like, do you realize all of that is null and void because motherfucker died on the side of the road? He didn't even make it to his due, due justice.
Yeah.
And she could not even put those two things together, that she couldn't even make her follow-up point because that person just missed the whole right that they had available to them, which was the point that was originally being made because she was so removed from blackness.
Yeah.
So that's why I challenge my white people on my platform, like, hey, man, there's some great black conservatives out here that's not trying to dog whistle you, that's not trying, they just out here, and I know Victor's giving the eyes, but I hear them, and I see them be fair on certain things, and I see them...
I just speak with so many conservatives. It's just I've never experienced a rational one or logical one. So it's just hearing you say that, it's just like...
What throws me off is because I took pictures because I was going to continue on to the series because I was so intrigued by it. And I literally looked up black conservatives, and it's all these performative ass people, like those two black women that has like the ridiculous
who was suing the White House after the fact.
Yeah, after like they got kicked out for being, shit was funny as hell. But what I'm saying is that there's this performative black. But I was telling you that I was looking for that female. I want to say she was in the District of Columbia or in Maryland, and she was running for office. And I was like, yo, she's dope as shit. And she's like a black conservative. She's not a pretentious black conservative. She knows that her party has work to do, but for the most part, as far as where her issues lie, she lies in a conservative type of pool.
But how?
I know what you're thinking, but that's just...
I don't know. It's just like...
That's just what it is. I know another black conservative that was like pro-life, and it was because she was born to like a drug addict mom, and the mom could have there was a reason for her story. Now her story was very much one in a million, and she really shouldn't apply that to society because that's not how any of this works. But she was still very measured and honorable in what she was trying to do. Candace Owens, you can't trust her because Candace Owens don't even want to be black. She don't even want to be black. That's why her edges is dry, and our ancestors do not talk to her.
We're not gonna bash on your shit. We ain't gonna bash on this one. Okay. But I do find it funny because I do think that she is a product of anti-blackness from the black community.
Yeah.
And
I think
that's something that as you said, we do it every night.
Yeah.
To not only our son but to each other.
Yeah.
I do it to Vic all the time.
I don't do that shit to nobody.
You don't do it to nobody?
No. I can believe it.
I'm too woke for that.
Because
you too woke for that?
I don't even think it's too woke. I think he's took that internally. I'm never going to do this to another person in my life. I'm never going to motherfucking do that.
I salute you if that's the case, because I do it to us though, right? Because I feel like that's absolutely a family thing. Because I do that with our family. I don't do that to other people.
I don't either, but I remove your black card in an instant. Like,
I don't understand because I don't understand
anything.
Because I definitely fit more of the quote unquote blackness than you do.
Very true.
So
absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Because
I remove your black card and I don't know why. I just whenever I'm feeling saucy.
Hater. That's what.
No more black.
Hater.
You are no more black.
Yeah, it's a hater.
So it's problematic, but we got to be honest about it.
Yeah.
We made her.
That's true. That's true. And so like besides just stopping the actions, how else can we do that? I mean, how else can we? Because I feel like it wasn't just us, right? Like there were decisions made as a person for her to get to the point where she is
somebody
at now.
Has to ask, bro. This is how you break down any conservative or right-leaning person.
Got it.
Ask them their thought process. Ask them the logic because conservatism doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
There's no logic behind it.
Not as a whole, but like extreme.
Because look, if you like when I debate with conservatives or Republicans and stuff, when I debate with them, when I first started interacting with the other side, I started out by being very heavily evidence based. I use statistics, numbers. I have hundreds of bookmarks on my Google Chrome of just evidence and stuff to support all my points. But then I realized that shit doesn't work because they're fucking idiots. You can show so much support, like to prove your point, and they'll still just blow it off.
they'll completely blow it off as if it's not evident.
You have to talk to them like a grade schooler. Well, why do you believe in this? Well, what's your thought process? Well, what's the reason? And 90%
and that's
of the time,
how I broke her down. That's exactly how I broke Kansas down, because I said, look at her from the perspective of how she makes her points. She makes her points by comparison, and comparison is not a bad way to make a point, because that is very important in an argument, because one, it provides context, and two, it gives you a good way in which to measure your argument, right? Mm-hmm. But this is how extreme conservatives make their point. They'll be like, oh, LGBTQ people, like, you better be happy because in Iran, LGBTQ people be getting unalived. And you'd be like, but what does that really have to do with...
They love to use Japan as a model society. One of the most xenophobic and racist places, like, ever. They love to use that as, like, their model society. It's like they make all these crazy comparisons.
But there's but the comparison, what you have to understand when you're breaking it down with them, the comparison lacks context. Mm-hmm. So when it lacks context, you're like, okay, well, does it provide a good measurement? And then you're like, okay, no, it doesn't. So you're like, oh, so what you're trying to do is the comparison in where you don't have a valid point. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to bury it in another event, in another stat, in another country, because you don't have an actual point. Because had you had an actual point, you can stay right in America with American legislation. Exactly. You could support yourself with what our society lives in, because we live very different from the rest of the world. I heard a quote that I was like watching somebody talk on a TED Talk, and I was like, yo, that shit is facts. They were like, what America does not realize is that around the world, people watch our news. And we are one of the only countries that do not watch other people's news. We have very little understanding of what the fuck is going on outside of America. So that is how I know that extreme conservatives, they don't have an actual point. The only thing that they have is that comparison, or let me bury you in something else. Oh, that happened to a little black kid and you think that's racist? Well, what about what happened to these 3 little white girls? Still a very true statement. It probably actually fucking happened. But what does that have to do with the fucking what we're talking about?
That's irrelevant to this point.
Deflection.
Like
deflection. There you go.
They pivot. Yeah, deflection and pivoting. And it's crazy because, like, as much pride as they have in America, it's like they don't get the... Well, hate America, but I mean in America.
Yeah,
America. They don't understand that, like, the USA is the most, like, we're completely unique from everywhere else. There's nowhere like the USA. The closest thing is maybe England, and even then they're vastly different. Yeah. Like, we're completely different from everywhere. So those comparisons are minute either way.
They don't make any sense. Just like, they're not even a good measuring point.
Exactly. Like, when they they're so frustrating because when they use statistics, they're usually wrong or misinterpreted, or
very much like white people get killed more than black people. True, but also it's like favorite. There's 73% of the damn like. What do you mean?
My favorite is despite being 13% of the population, black people commit 50% of crimes.
The black neighborhoods are over policed.
Not just that. If you literally just read that article that they're pulling from, if you just read the whole thing, like the whole study, you'll clearly see that's not fucking true.
It's not.
That's not it. They just
and
took
it's like
the little
a small sample size.
Oh my god!
Like it's so skewed. They skew
frustrating.
The numbers because somebody was like really pissed off because I was just like, black on black crime is not a thing. I lost 100 followers for literally saying black on black crime is not a thing.
Yeah.
I said I am not saying that black people do not commit crimes against other people. What I am saying is there's a such thing as proximity crimes. Yeah. Right? If you live with and around white people, you will kill and offend against white people. It is true for all races, but black people are the only people that it gets a label from, and you know why? Because there's a constant agenda to demonize, criminalize
just anything black.
Anything black.
Do you mean systematic racism? Is that what you're talking about?
Systemic.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because I thought that was a real thing.
No, that's not a real thing, according to Candace Owens. But when she gets discriminated against, she goes to the NAACP for help. So I'm like, girl, either there's systemic racism and it exists because your ass is in 4K in front of Congress with the NAACP lawyers right behind you, and you won, and you won because they discriminated against you, or this does not exist. You took this to Congress. Home girl, you took it to the highest place in the land to say, hey, this is a thing, and I am so intelligent that I deserve a place here, and I was discriminated against solely based off of my color and not off the contents and merit of my character. Then was like, oh, that's not real, because pull up y'all bootstraps, y'all lazy black Americans.
I don't get those. I don't like I just don't get how you could be black and conservative. Like, I don't get it. I mean, I can understand how it happens. I can understand how it happens, but like as an adult,
it's what's the fallacy of conservatives? Just like how there's fallacies with democracy with Democrats. With Democrats, I don't know why it's kicking my ass today, but there is fallacies with conservatism. I mean, when you think about it, it's this how it was always described about me was you could tell who I had an old major from JORTC that used to tell me all the time that Republicans believe in the greater good of people. The main difference is just look at seatbelts, for instance. We know it saves lives by the hundreds of thousands, right? Compared to the millions of car crashes that happens every day. Seatbelts save lives. He used to tell me this all the time. I used to laugh at him, but he's absolutely right. Republicans will believe that the laws around seatbelts are unnecessary, and it should be up to the goodwill of the people to decide whether or not they should wear one. I see that face, because that's the same face I used to make. And then Democrats will believe that people are not good, and that they need rules and regulations in place, and therefore they have to be told to wear a seatbelt. The black ass bottom line is that there is data to prove that seatbelts save lives,
but society,
and that not wearing one not only increases your survival chances, but the person that you hit. It also increases because now you're not a flying projectile or anything that's in your car is now not flying out of your windshield into that person's car.
But
so and it's funny because I laugh at that because he used to say those exact words. Those Republicans believe in the goodwill of people, and we all know that there is no such thing as goodwill. People are selfish by nature and will do things that benefit them the most. Mm-hmm. But I used to laugh at that too because if they did did do things on the benefit of their own, they would wear a seatbelt naturally because they would be selfish enough to care about them. It's never really about.
It's never really about humanity. It's
not about self-preservation. It's about the control of others.
Mm-hmm. So, but see, here's the thing. I kind of disagree with that. And then, so I'm going to make one point, and then I'm going to go off on why I think that I lean conservative, right? So, on some issues. So, I genuinely feel as if society, to have it a certain type of way, we enter into an agreement with each other. Let's not kill each other. Let's not steal each other's shit. For the most part. Not everybody's going to do this, but the majority is going to say, hey, let's not kill each other. Let's not steal each other's shit. Let's have, like, systems in place that we can keep track of shit and history and stuff like that. And, like, everyone try to not hurt anybody else, but, like, live your life. Mm-hmm. That's society's contract with each other, which is why we do need law enforcement and agencies like that. Mm-hmm. I say that I know that I sometimes lean conservative because when people are like, for example, what's going on right now with that man that was killed in the Carolinas, and they released 20 seconds of the police body footage, and it was body cam footage, and it was like skewed and edited and blurred, and they did so many things to this footage, and it only showed the family 20 seconds. So I was also on live, and people were like, oh, that's a smoking gun and blah, 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 blah. But then I'm somebody that's in the military that understands the need for privacy and the need to keep the way that operations are ran as a need to know, because that keeps more people safe. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be able to do our job without being surveilled. I should not be telling, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, there would be a reason to edit the body cam footage. There would be a reason to see.
Question. Why do you think that law enforcement has a necessity to do their job unsurveilled?
No, you're missing the point. So in the commission of a crime or in the commission of an investigation, because we are what is it called? Like a society that's developed, right? We have a process for that. So the police is only the beginning. That means it needs to have integrity all the way up until a conviction. But I'm a police officer, I was there during the commission of a crime, a bunch of shit happened, you asked a question because you think that I did something that was not right, and I said, no, I actually didn't do anything that was not right, I'll show you the pertinent information to the question that you're asking. And you're like, no, you're being shady as shit because I want to see the whole thing. And I'm like, no, this is the beginning of all of this stuff. Then this needs to go through a process, and there's certain information that is sensitive, and there's certain conversations that should remain private because they talk all the time. Those cameras are always running, and they will catch shit like just the operations of how police do things, which is really important to kind of keep on the down low. Not from the civilians, like regular people like me and you, but for people that are trying to outsmart the cops. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I'm going to show you what you need to see to be okay. And that's why there needs to be trust, which is why I said, I understand if they want to restructure law enforcement. We need law enforcement. I am not upset at my police officers acting like police officers. I don't want Mr. Rogers to go and clear a building. I would like a police officer to go and restore law and order. I genuinely feel like they really misuse that power, because you should be okay with the police saying, hey, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you what you need to see to show you that I didn't do anything wrong. But when you're like, hey, well, there's like 20 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not done yet. Have you ever heard like how the government every like 30 years, they'll release a big dump of classified information? They do that because we no longer use it. There's people not using those counter tactics overseas or what have you. Those people they're dead or moved on. We're no longer using that particular source of intel. But until everybody's out, it's not safe. You can't blow the shit up. It's like a building. You can't blow it up until everybody's out. Mm-hmm. So people are like, no, it's wrong. And I get why civilians are distrusting of the police, because the motherfuckers most of the time can't be trusted. But we should have a society to where we do trust the police, because there are appropriate times when we shouldn't see the body.
I feel like that's not realistic, though. I understand what you're saying, but that's just not realistic.
I get it. It's not. No, right now it's not.
Climate.
It banks
no,
heavily,
you're right. In the current climate, it is not under any circumstances.
It banks heavily on
trust.
Well, yeah, it banks heavily on trust. And again, you know how I feel about trusting people. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it work. Yeah, I just don't see it working with our current state, because people are selfish and they move in what works best for them. Police are no different.
I mean, I see what you're saying. You know, classified things could possibly, but at the same time, I'm gonna be frank, I don't think the police have earned that trust.
They haven't. They haven't. And what I'm talking about is the end result. I do feel like there are points, because people are like, what do you mean there's a point in which that's appropriate? About how many times, especially in the military and when we conduct operations, only what you're doing in the mission. It's very rare that you will know everything. And as a matter of fact, when we do everything, like, we do the whole analyzing the unit, we go to a damn secure room to do it. Yeah. Once we put all the information together, we go to a place that can't nobody else see it. Because no one really has the full picture. And it is it's a counterproductive way so that you can run your operations safely for the citizens and the law enforcement, but they have not earned it. In this current climate, they have not earned it.
Well, I don't know about ever earning it, because at the end of the day, it's protect and serve, but then
that's a bullshit ass slogan that they made specifically to only 50% of the population.
Obviously, but
the other part of it is that many law enforcement agencies haven't come to terms with what the history is.
No,
as if their history didn't start only in the sole purpose of enforcing slavery.
Yeah.
Even after the fact.
Yep.
Law enforcement and I think it's the 13th Amendment.
13th Amendment
was
keeps
legal
slavery.
Cannot
be slaves unless they committed a crime. Yeah. Then
it's the government's way of upholding slavery, because slavery was such a beneficial. It was such a beneficial.
They haven't even been able to quantify slavery yet, to be honest.
Yeah,
money wise,
it was just so beneficial to workforce, and that was like that was like the first exploitation of the workforce. That's what we talked about last time too, when the mics didn't work. Was just the exploitation of the workforce, and the patrolmen that they like to call them, or however they want to call it,
crazy and shit
was until police can really consolidate, can really
be
honest about the history of it and where policemen came from. You're right. I don't see a way that a lot of people can move forward.
I do have
because
a question.
I feel like having that much of a tainted history, you have to get rid of that.
Yeah.
You have to separate yourself with it. The problem is that police try to do that without acknowledging it. You have to acknowledge it. And I think when everyone acknowledges that, it becomes to a point to where, well, no, I don't care how they feel. Whenever you acknowledge something horrific in your past, a lot of people, and rightfully so, want to disengage from that. They don't want to be part of that anymore. And unfortunately, I feel similar to you. An aspect of police is something that we do need. However, because criminals are criminals,
right.
They're going to do what they want to do. People are going to, regardless of what the laws are, people are going to find a way to break it. So I do think that there has to be an element that's there, but
needs to be
the current, it just needs to be completely different. And I think if we do look at abolishing the police, I do think of completely destroying it and not in destroying in the sense that whoever's currently an officer, whoever's currently there, once there are a new rule book to becoming an officer,
they need to go back to
everyone needs to
requalify.
Exactly. And,
but I got a question.
And that's also far-fetched too, but
Victor is the only civilian at the table, like real civilian at the table.
I'm a civilian. I'm a vet, but I'm a civilian.
Because I'm really interested in this because I'm coming from a vet perspective, right? And then law enforcement is paramilitary. So I know they be wrong and shit. I do. You know what I'm saying? The military be out here treating motherfuckers like Fort Hood and Fort Drum. Like, we be fucked up. You know what I'm saying? We all fucked up. But you're basically saying that even though you understand that there could be a need and understand that police are transparent, but you also understand that transparency has to be within reason and safety, you still think that they haven't earned that? Like, you think?
No. So right now, the way I see it, it's like it's the cost of it. At the moment, the cost of that secrecy or whatever is a lot of injustice, and I mean a lot. I'm not talking about just the statistics, because whenever it comes to statistics, whatever is reported, 3 times the amount of that is happening unreported, right? Like, I just don't think it's worth what's, like, because, like, I don't know, like what's, like, until, because, like, from what I'm like what I notice with all of these shootings, or at least all of the big, like, shootings of, unarmed black people or just civilians in general, it comes down to the cop not being trained to handle these situations, to where, like, majority of the time, not every time, but majority of the time, the first, like, obstacle they come across, their first instinct is to shoot it till it's dead, like, every time. But, like,
they're not trained.
SWAT team and higher, like, the higher you go, these people are trained for stuff like that. Why aren't police trained? Like not only is it easy to get a badge and a gun in such a, like, within a year you can do it, sometimes shorter, like 6 to 8 months. You can get a badge and a gun and be considered a police officer, right? I think that's ridiculous. Like, police officers aren't trained in almost any type of like hand-to-hand disarmament or anything.
They don't know nothing. Like,
all they're taught is like how to hold and grab, like, and even then it's not even like efficient stuff. It's just like little arm locks or whatever. Like, I think the police are genuinely extremely under-equipped to handle a lot of civil issues.
I'm glad you said that.
I think that that added secrecy and lack of surveillance contributes to that.
So
it's unfair to the police officers.
I think there's a difference between unequipped and underfunded. A lot of police officers are not underfunded at all.
No, they're not underfunded, but they're
majority of them are not underfunded.
Yeah, I want to make that clear, because a lot of people hear this and say, "See, we need more money to the police and government."
They don't need more money.
And they don't need more money. The problem is that there are still an exploitation of workers, being the lower enlisted police officers, that are being paid little to nothing in a lot of major cities. They call them
for everything.
And they handle everything. Meanwhile, the bigwigs at the top, who suck at planning, obviously, because their funds are there, and they rather spend it on tanks instead of actually educating their police officers. And granted,
but police officers don't de-escalate, by the way.
They spend so much on equipment. Like, so much funding goes to police equipment, but they're not taught how, not even how to use it, but they should need a majority of it.
Like, they do a different thing. In the military, we de-escalate, but it's kind of like how
we actually have a rules of engagement.
Yeah, rules of engagement, and then, like, there's
a war crime if you don't follow them, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a fucking war crime. But what I'm saying is that if somebody's like in the front, they're talking to somebody, you will not, you'll take your hand off your weapon or whatever. Maybe you'll, point it out to the ground, but there's somebody behind you that like got your back in case something goes crazy. Mm-hmm. But like, I just feel like police officers, they're not taught that. And I think that's something that's not really talked about because I'm in a lot of law enforcement groups. They're not taught to de-escalate. They're actually taught to escalate. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. When you get on a scene and you have no idea what's going on, you can't go in there whispering. You got to go in there and be higher, more high pace. Like you need to go in there and dominate. And I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes, especially with civilians, that's called positive control. I feel like they only hammer that into their head because there's a finesse to that. There's a way to go in and control everything, not fucking kill people.
I have to disagree.
You think they should be de-escalating? Because there's a reason why they're taught to escalate.
So here's my issue. And this actually goes into not only the Republican Party, but into conservatism, into the male diaspora that we currently have in society, and that's that word dominating that you said. Again, such a big focus on control for no reason, and I don't and see, like the dominating that you're talking about is harmful, and it causes again a lot of situations to get violent that don't have to. There is a way. It's possible to control a room. It's possible to not dominate a person, but to have an influence on a person, or to assert yourself without escalating a situation to the point of violence. The issue is that they're not taught that way.
They're not taught that way. What they're taught
articulate it, but
they're not.
I watched these research streams, right? And there was one, it was like 6.5 hours, just about not necessarily what police are taught, but in general or military, like all aspects of like just all aspects. So like from police up to like the military, just like general ways that they engage in situations and how we can fix what they're taught, at least from what can be told, to the public. And that's one thing, like aggression. Like our officers have way too much aggression. They view it. They don't view it like when they enter a situation, everyone who's not a badge is an enemy to them. Like that's how a lot of them view it.
Okay, so I do have a follow-up question to that though, because I know what you're saying, and it breeds distrust. But I don't know. Maybe Armand can know what this is too. Have you ever been in a situation with a cop where you're fairly calm and the cop like just fucking lost it, like get the fuck out of here or something like that, right? Yeah. Now that
I've never not been pulled over and not have a cop just cuss me to oblivion and then feel stupid about it because I just show no emotion or anything in that situation. Like I have to be a dead fish on a slab outside of water in order for them to really de-escalate. But I've had some just could never even address me as anything else but less than motherfucker, asshole, bitch, asshole. You know what I'm saying?
No, but that's what I'm saying. And they come into those situations a lot of the times. So you'll walk away and be like, yo, that was fucked up. I can't believe the fucking way this motherfucker talked to me, right? All right, boom. But at the same time, you disengaged because he was such a fucking asshole. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. You completely submit.
It's not a good strategy.
It's a terrible strategy. It's a terrible strategy. But what I'm saying is it's taught like that because it works. It works.
It doesn't work.
No.
Look how many unarmed civilians are dying every year because of that. That's not working.
It's easy to say that when you're the one with the gun.
That's true.
It's absolutely easy to say that when you're the one with the gun. However, there are rules to society.
No.
And if I was as lawless,
what should be changed.
If I acted as lawless as they do, it would be a different story.
Not just that,
but I would be probably labeled as a cop killer, or I would be the one on a T-shirt, one or the other.
So not just that, but saying it works is just
it's
actually not true. It doesn't work.
What I'm saying is that for when they look, because keep in mind, I be on cop pages, and when it's kind of like how they look at it, they're so disattached from society, and they're so engulfed in themselves.
We're giving way too much leeway to. So here's the thing, and this goes back to the issue of it being too easy to put on a badge. We need to raise the bar for police. It's as simple as that.
We probably need to raise the bar, not just for police, but for a lot of people. You know, the fact that our politicians really don't have to have any kind of sort of degree in order to be a politician. That's
a whole other can of worms you're opening right now.
The fact that our candidates for mayor who directly affect and influence policing in every major city that you can think of don't have to have a college education whatsoever. They just have to be born in this country, or not even born. A lot of them don't have to be born into it. They just have to have,
money, man.
A popular.
You need to have your papers and money.
Yeah,
that's how you become.
So it's not just police. We need to raise the bar. It's as a whole across the board, the entire system. Whether you're looking at politicians, you're looking at judges, you're looking at prosecutors. In fact, judges and prosecutors might be the only ones that require some kind of degree in order to work in that system, and that says a lot.
It's awful.
That says a lot.
It's awful, but I'm trying to show, because I feel like this is a conversation, and I'm being devil's advocate while throwing in some of my own opinions, and this is because this is a conversation. Because some people don't even get to this point. Some people don't get to the point of why cops are fucking dicks. Mm-hmm. And I've watched them say, yo, when you are just outlandish, people leave you the fuck alone. They disengage, they walk away, and for me, that is not a problem.
That's part of the problem, though, because there's been plenty of people to show that they've walked away and still not make it home by police.
That's the truth.
So it's not just that mentality of
that mentality is all fucked up.
That gives off the wrong message too.
It does give off the wrong message, but I feel like people, when they're having this conversation, they don't even know what the problems are. Like, I've already established several things that could change across the board. And that is just on their communicative skills and how they just do their jobs. Some people don't even get that far. Because people are like, well, what are they actually doing? We know they kill motherfuckers. We don't like that. Mm-hmm. But what gets it there? People say de-escalation. It sounds good on a CNN or MSNBC broadcast, but y'all don't know. They're not taught to de-escalate. Like, how about that being the black ass bottom line? Mm-hmm. They are not taught to de-escalate.
Well, that's a problem.
They are taught positive control, and positive control by definition is to escalate. You have to go just a notch above the highest person there in order to garner control of the entire situation. So if it's
like prison rules, you gotta beat up the biggest guy.
I'm being for real. Like, this is what is being said.
I hear that doesn't make it any better, and
it doesn't make it any better. But this is the conversations that's not having
real tangible solutions.
And that's why nobody's not talking about it, because nobody's not understanding that this is where the fuck it is.
No, I disagree. I think people do understand. They completely understand. Just like how we can walk in a room and code switch instantly, depending on our audience. People do that all day, every day, regardless of race and gender. They do that.
But I feel like if you ask a civilian, they would say a cop de-escalates. No, they would
they would play dumb because they're afraid to speak out against anything about law enforcement. They would play dumb. But everyone, I think it's first, people don't know what that means. People don't know what that means, for one, and two, when you talk about positive what?
Positive control.
Yeah. So when you control anything, it's usually never in a positive stance to the person that you control or to the thing that you're controlling. It's usually never positive.
Well, this is the jargon.
It's also most of the time not like
consent. Because to control something means to manipulate. Mm-hmm. To manipulate it into something that favors your desired outcome. People are not ragdolls to be manipulated by. So when we say things like positive control, that's not a thing. That's not that's a tactical term that these people are using on civilians, and that's not right. No matter what. So and you're right. I don't see a solution because the public either chooses to ignore it, doesn't know it, or don't care to know it. And I do believe that it's more of don't care to know it.
Oh, yeah. Most of it is issues that don't affect 50% of the population.
Yep.
So they don't care.
Oh, yeah. I've been spending a lot of my time on TikTok talking about how jealous I am of white people. Hear me out. Not their skin color, because...
obviously not. It's the benefits, bro.
Fucking cute as shit.
It's them pale benefits.
Cute as shit. But I get so jealous when I run through my For You page and they're out here talking about clipping coupons and walking their fucking dogs and like living with their goldfish and like just, and they're not doing anything spectacular, just living their lives. Meanwhile, unbothered. You have no idea, Victor. You're smiling and you're like, oh yeah, fuck. But I watch it and I'm looking at how they are just unbothered.
Meanwhile, Asians out here getting jumped for being Asian.
While people are calling me obscenities. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm getting her my stuff taken down for absolutely nothing. And it's kind of like, I've said that. I'm like, yo, I'm in a position, and I'm like, white people be asking why black people be angry all the time. Bitch, because I don't get a choice whether I want to be a part of this or not. I don't get a choice. I have to be a part of this. I have to talk about this. Yeah. I can't disengage. Motherfucker, I've tried. I can't disengage. And then another thing, which is why I've been telling other people today, I got into another argument with somebody, stop asking black creators to talk about social justice issues. We got mental health issues out here in these streets. I don't care if I have 600,000 followers. I'm tired of watching black people die. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm not ignoring it. I'm aware. As a matter of fact, somebody called me an N baby or N girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a part of this shit. But in order to save my mental health, no, I don't want to talk about it. Just leave me alone. And mind your business, Susan. Well, how do you feel about... How the fuck do you think I feel about it?
Yeah, what the fuck? Wait, what? What do you expect me to say?
What are you... Oh my God, all day. What is your stance?
Bitch, you know my stance. We got the same colors, but you know my stance.
No, be white people.
I'm saying I got the same colors as the nigga who got shot. Like, you know my stance. Like, what you want me to say?
Like, that's all day. You know what? You really should talk about, and bring awareness. I really should just keep my mental health straight for my 8-year-old. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. So, I'm glad we had this conversation because I feel like we've been back and forth.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good dialect. I mean, it's just unfortunate because I would like to see, I hate just more problems on top of problems. I want to start seeing some solutions. And I know that's even if we do come up with solutions, it takes the greater good of everything.
God, it's so hard to implement them.
Yeah, so for me, conversations like this just always bother me a little bit more. But
it doesn't bother me because I feel like a lot of people don't be seeing what these motherfuckers be saying behind y'all back. Like, I have a little bit of a window into the soul, and like some of the stuff that civilians says are like the day I showed you, the day that Derek Chauvin was found guilty, where I'm like, you should be, you should stand against that because him doing what he did is the things that's getting you in danger. And they spent the day trolling Black Lives Matter and like just talking the most shit. Yeah. And I'm just like, you guys have no idea how detached law enforcement is from society. Like you think but it's a little bit worse because it's like there's like law enforcement wives and stuff on there, and some of the wives were like, yo, this is like the wrong time to post this.
I can imagine it because
they're so removed.
No, I can imagine it because me being first off, I had to acknowledge my privilege not too long ago because me being in a 2-person household with full-time jobs and benefits and all the other stuff, makes me realize how quickly some people just are not able to do like at any point in time during the day we can decide just to eat out all day every day.
Yeah.
And people are not like that.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because there was a point in time where I remember when we first came up here, we had to we eating Lunchables, peanut butter jellies, and oodles and noodles, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
For about 2 to 3 weeks when we first got up here, almost about a month and a half before we got up here. So it's not long ago where I remember where I couldn't just get up and eat and shit like that, but it made me realize how quickly like the benefits and perks of being a military family that's able to work 2 full-time jobs with benefits and not having to necessarily plan. Mm-hmm. It amazes me that not everyone lives like that. Mm-hmm. Knowing that I know that not everyone can live like that. So I understand. I bet I can believe that there is some type of disconnect because
there's experienced just
a little bit of disconnect and just a little bit of lifestyle that I have.
There's a disconnect, and I feel like
and you talk about adding violence and shit like that to it. Yeah. I believe there's a disconnect.
I wish that you not so much you because I feel like but Victor could see, like.
I know a lot more than you think.
It's a lot more perverted than you think it is. Like, you're thinking they're pretty shit. They're a little bit more shit than you think.
No, Shauna, please don't underestimate my intelligence.
There is. They be out here in these streets, and they be saying the regard that they have for human life is a lot of them, a large percentage of a lot of the departments. And as a military person, and some of them being military, I've asked them, like, do you guys want federal, like, stuff so everybody can be on the same accord? You could be protected, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we had some federal law enforcement laws, I got cussed to smithereens, bitch. Like,
the federal government has proved time and time again that they're incompetent and that they don't have the best interest in heart of anyone that's not
but
right.
They don't even want...
I would like to see cities and local government
take over,
not take over, but really enforce
then
or really change their laws. No, it's not going to be federal. I do believe in the right to state laws.
The police books, though, are like fucking Wild Wild West. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no...
Yeah, they change. They change. Now, I would say that the federal government can say, hey, you have to have a standard of it, but again, it's going to be left up to the city. So I think it would need to be an individual city.
It's like a
individual
soup
city mentality to get things fixed.
That shit is a soup sandwich. Like, I feel like all this marching and shit, you see the frustration and the boiling point of the civilians. It's happening on the other side, except they got guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those pages are so... ain't nothing helpful about them. And I know that there's probably some decent cops out there, but those pages are so perverted. And they're supposed to be like support law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And you should think it's a no-brainer to detest things that will put you in danger, like bad cops. But nah, they take that shit somewhere else. They take it. They take it somewhere else.
Told you, all the statistics you see in the stories you hear are only not even a third of what's really happening. Like, if y'all would hear personal, like, anecdotal shit from people who really been through this shit, y'all would be sick. Mm-hmm. Like, I've heard some disgusting shit happen to people that I know from, like, not just law enforcement, but from what's the name of them people that are in charge of children, like orphans and shit.
You talking about like childcare?
Yeah, I know people who've been like CPS. Sexually assaulted by people who are supposed to find them families, mm-hmm. or foster homes, and there's a lot of shit
that's going on
that goes on that doesn't get protests and marches and shit.
That's the truth. But that kind of stuff is not anecdotal. I had a whole job. Remember when that white girl came in and stole everything from us?
Yeah.
And we called the police, and the police put us to sit on the sidewalk. Like, you know how police in Florida put you to sit on the sidewalk because you did something wrong, mm-hmm. like you're being detained? Mm-hmm. The white woman was she stole from us. Keep in mind, she stole from doctors with, they have their doctorates and, permissions at hospitals. I started to lose it because they put Dr. Mirza to sit on the floor. Are you crazy? That's a doctor. This is his practice. She stole stuff from us. Mm-hmm. And the police told us that he's just going to make her give it back. And so that's when, remember, I was like, we're like, we want to press charges. And he told us, no, she gave it back. Mm-hmm. And we actually looked it up. And it doesn't matter if she gave it back. The fact that you took it with the intent to steal it. And this one phone is $1,500. And you stole all of the phones to include the doctors.
Grand larceny.
Literally, she had stole tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. The police was did some baby shit, give it back. Mm-hmm. She gave it back because they didn't want us to be aggressive towards her. We had to sit on the sidewalk, the pavement. Mm-hmm. We called them.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. You were there. I was so upset.
Well, I wasn't there, but I did come and get you after
so
that.
Upset. Yeah. I was so upset.
Yeah.
So, well, this was good.
This was good. I did want to get back into the exploitation of workers because we did a good segment on that when the mics weren't working. But I do want to give a special shout out to this nice little community I have on The Walking Dead Survival. Shameless plug here.
Wow.
Yeah, join my community on that, and also Chloe Bailey. Always shout out to her. Anything else you guys want to share? Any shout outs? No? Any shout outs for you?
I'm good.
All right, it's been a good
episode.
episode.
Shout out to all of the non-black people that unfollowed me on TikTok. This is the first time that I've been masked unfollowed, and it kind of feels good. I ain't gonna hold you.
All right, yo, thank you. Follow us on YouTube. Black Lives Don't Matter. Blood Don't Black Lives Don't Matter. That sucks. Blood Don't Matter podcast on YouTube. Also find us on Twitter, and you can also find us on wherever you listen to your podcast at. So there we go.
Toodaloo, motherfuckers.